Hello everybody, today I'm working on this fusion oak project of mine. This is actually 9 little trees grown from acorns and fused together around a wooden core, which was basically just a piece of wood that I carved very roughly into a cone shape, I suppose, and then wrapped the 9 trees around it and put them in a pot. As simple as that, nothing too complicated. You can still see a big piece of wire that's actually not been embedded into the trunk of the tree yet. So let me see if I can move you in closer and you can see that. Okay, so and this is one of the issues I have with this tree, is I'm getting these big scars where the wires were. This sort of horizontal scar that wraps right round the trunk of the tree, which is a little bit distracting, and I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to get rid of those. As I say, you can see this piece of wire that is holding the base of the trees in place is still there. Eventually it'll get subsumed into the trunk, hopefully, and it will disappear, and I'm going to have to do maybe recarve some of these scars in the hope that they will close over and heal, but obviously that'll wait until spring. The other issue I've had with this tree last year was trying to keep it moist. It didn't grow as well as I would have liked, and partly that's because oak are slow growers anyway, but also because no matter how I tried, I was having to water this 2 or 3 times a day, and it was still drying out. The reason for that is I've tried experimenting in this mesh pot with what they call air pruning the roots, the idea that the roots will come to the edge of the pot and then they will die off at the tips because of the air, and then they will throw out new, so almost side roots as opposed to side shoots. It was such a dry, warm summer that realistically I don't know that they did that. So I'm going to try putting it into a larger pot for this summer, but continuing the experiment. And to that end, I've got a much bigger mesh pot that I'm going to put it in. So let's get it out of this one and look at the roots. Okay, try and contain the mess. Trusty tray has come out, and we'll see if we can't get it out of this mesh pot. It's coming out quite happily. That's good. Well, as predicted, there are no circling roots. There do seem to be quite a few roots that have come to the edge, and there's definitely some mycelium in there, so that's good. Now, clean off some of this top layer so that I can actually get rid of some of these long shoots that aren't really helping the design any. We'll clean it up a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to take a nylon brush to the surface here. We do have some nice surface roots radiating out in quite a few directions, which is nice. But what I really want to do is just clear some stuff away so that I can get at these sort of shoots here, because I want to remove them. To that end, I have an old pair of cutters that only get used for root work. So I'm just going to nip those off at the base. Yes, it's going to leave a scar, but yeah, a gnarly old oak tree covered in scars usually. Okay, so that's getting rid of these sort of ground level shoots. I mean, I've really got some lovely taper in this tree. I just haven't got full fusion, and that's what we're driving for at the moment. Take that off as well. There's a dead piece there. Okay, so that's not so bad. This piece I don't want in the final design. Let's try out the new curved cutters. See if they'll fit in there. That's better. That's a fair bit of growth, but I really would have expected it to have grown a little better. And as I say, it was such a dry summer. I don't think it had enough volume of soil to stay wet in these air pots. So before we do anything else, I'm now going to look at just loosening the soil around these roots so that they will be encouraged to come out into the fresh compost when it goes into that larger pot. And there are definitely a lot of roots, so the air pruning has worked, so that's good. So that's all I'm going to do to it. We've already got a reasonable radial pattern, and as I say, I just want this to explode into growth and get some proper fusion. Okay, so this is a 10-litre pond planter. Cost a grand total of £2.09, whatever that might be in your local currency. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this tray from another pot to sit under there, and that'll stop the roots growing straight down. Not that this trees have got any taproot left, but will encourage the trees to stay, fairly compact depth-wise. Any roots to go out over the edge, and that'll make it much easier to get back into a smaller pot, or once we've got some really good fusion. So as I say, I think this is my front. Yeah, so need a bit more soil in that pot first of all. So about half filled it, and let's just try it. Place the plant tray in there, tree on the top. That's good. That'll give it a good depth of soil, but also allow some watering room. So that's great. So I'm just going to put some controlled release fertilizer in the base, so the roots can go looking for that. As before, as I've said on other videos, this is a controlled release as opposed to a slow release, which behaves differently. The controlled release, the little capsules don't give off any feed until the optimum temperature and moistness is available in the soil for plants to be growing, whereas the slow release just let the fertilizer sort of dribble out continuously, even when it's not optimal for the plants to be growing, so they're a bit more wasteful. I think the controlled release is a better option. I prefer it, certainly. Okay, so tree in, it's nice and central, and then we're going to start filling in around the edge. This is my usual mix at the moment, which is 3 of the kitty litter, which is sold as Kitty Friend here in the UK. People have been asking me about that. And then 2 parts of horticultural grit and 1 part of regular compost for some organic content. So I'm going to stop there at about 1 inch below soil level, and I'm going to put in another handful of these controlled release. That way any roots that escape sideways will have something to go into. And again, I've said it before, but if you've got this at the top of the pot, near the top of the pot, as the water leaches down, it takes the fertilizer with it. If you've got this in the bottom of the pot, it'll leach any fertilizer straight out the bottom. which you don't want, especially as, you know, this being a kind of artificial soil. It doesn't really have a lot of goodness in it, except for what, you know, I put in it. So it's important to make sure that I put something in it where it'll be where the plant needs it, not all leak straight out of the bottom of the pot. So top it up. It's much easier than repotting into a bonsai pot. I don't need to worry about air pockets and things. It's just a nice square into a larger square. Okay, so there's a fair bit of dust with this. That is a problem. But as long as you make sure you wash it really well, you can wash that dust through. That makes a huge difference then. Okay, so I'm making sure my nabari, as it is nicely exposed. I think that'll be grand. Give it a good old plantman's tap. That's what my father would have called it. And yeah, so that's okay. We'll let's give you a quick close-up of those roots. Let's say we've got this really nice nabari forming, but unfortunately these odd bits where the wire is still showing and these ugly scars, but we'll work on them as the years go by. Let's give this a good drink. Probably going to take a whole of this watering can to wash it right through thoroughly. But hopefully this will give these trees a really good start for next spring, or this spring rather. And it'll be well away. Obviously going to need to do some more work at the top, but I'll come to that in a second. So the water's running out of the bottom nice and clear now, so should have carried all the dust out with it. Now we're going to look at cutting back some of this top growth, keeping some, cutting back other pieces, and getting this tree ready. It can grow away in spring. I'm gonna start by removing this odd little growth here. It's not really serving much of a purpose. And I have a side branch here. I was going to keep this and I'm still tempted to keep this, but it does need shortening back. I'm going to shorten it back to this big fat bud just here. Let's move you in a little closer. There's a juicy fat bud just there. I'm going to cut it back to that point. Just tidy that a little. But I'm hoping it might break further down, in which case I will shorten it back further. I'm just going to shorten that. These I'm just shortening back to buds. This piece looks dead. Yeah, I tried the thumbnail test, it's definitely dead. So all the way back that's died, so hopefully not going to cause too much of an issue with the tree. And this piece is alive and it's coming off the same tree, so that shouldn't cause too much of an issue. Another dead piece there. Again, I think this tree got too dry last summer, and that this pot will make all the difference to that. This piece is dead. Still dead in there. We will see how well this tree responds to this. There's still a way to go before these two trees fuse together, if they ever do. I'm sure they will, but they're not going to do it quickly. They're certainly not in any kind of a hurry. Okay, that's a dead piece there. That piece is still alive, so I'll just shorten that back just a little, just to encourage a bit of back budding. Actually, I'm just going to shorten this piece back more and see where it buds from. There was a nasty bulge I didn't like. Sometimes you have to bite the bullet and just go for it. And moving up to this top piece, I'm just going to shorten that back and take that piece off. Okay, so this should give the tree a nice setting up for the spring. There are some dead pieces within the trunk itself, which is unfortunate. Hopefully they will just get subsumed by the living portions. Old oak trees have dead pieces and hollows and that sort of thing, so I can live with that. Quick 360 degrees. Still a long way to go. As I say, if anyone's got any good ideas on how to get rid of some of this scarring or to disguise it, that would be really helpful. But in the meantime, we'll let nature do as much of its growing as possible using this big pot, and we'll see how much better it grows this year. Just going to put a quick piece of wire on this branch here. It's coming out of the front and kind of coming towards the viewer, so which obviously I don't particularly want. I do like this sort of bend here, so we will just try and persuade the whole thing just to sit a little bit more and around to the side like so. Perfect. Not an elegant piece of wiring, but it does the job. Hopefully it won't interfere with this. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please do take care of yourselves. Stay safe.